Hey there, it's Lex. I mentioned earlier that I was going to start training for a new job. That's because I thought that I had it. Turns out I didn't. So I interviewed for another job, also didn't get it. The situation at this point is dire. I actually made a budget on Excel to see how much money I'd have by the time rent was due next month. I'm not proficient in Excel. If I was, I'd probably have a job. You know how artists have like this reputation for having no money? Well, I've probably been cursed or something because I'm what some people might call like an artist, even though I like rarely do any art. This is an art by Lex. Here is another art by Lex. My roommate broke it, and I don't have money for super glue. Anyway, I have found a way to make some money in my town. Donating plasma. I don't really know why everybody calls it donating, because you get paid for it. It's like, not like giving blood. They give you your blood back. Basically what happens is they'll hook you up to this machine that takes blood out, separates the blood from the plasma, and then puts the blood cells and some saline solution back into you, and it does this a couple times over like 45 minutes or an hour. At the place that I go to, they steadily increase how much you get paid every donation within a month. So you start out making 25 bucks on your first donation, then it goes to 30, 35, 40, 45, and then 50 for the rest of your appointments. I also have this rule where you can only donate 2 times a week, and there has to be at least one day in between them where you're not selling, which is kind of weird because I thought that they wrapped my bandage too tight, not the last time I went, but the time before that, so I googled it, and I didn't learn anything about bandages and whether they were too tight, but I did learn that apparently you're only supposed to sell plasma once every 28 days, when this place lets you do it like 9 times a month. I think that if you schedule the max number of appointments, you make something like 375, which is pretty good considering you don't really have to do anything. If you're terrified of needles, then I'm sure it's a big sacrifice, but like, apparently I'm not. I never I never donated blood because I thought that I was dying of some disease that I just didn't know about, and I didn't want to kill anybody. So I wasn't sure if I was afraid of needles or not. Turns out I'm not, which is a huge relief. 375 is also about 100 bucks more than I have to pay for rent, which is good. The problem is that the money that I get goes straight into a card, and it can't be transferred electronically. You can only withdraw money from an ATM or use it, like at a grocery store or whatever. Apparently you can make online purchases, but like I can't connect it to my Venmo account or anything. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to get that money to my landlord person. So we're just gonna have to figure that out. I think the biggest risk of depending on donating plasma as my income is that apparently when I bruise, it takes forever to heal. They kind of messed up last week on my vein last Tuesday, and it is currently Thursday, and you can still see it. And if you have a bruise on your arm, then you can't like sell from there, or they'll check it, but I'm sure that they'll always say no, you can't, because it wasn't even like much worse than this when I went in. And they told me that that was the only arm that I could sell from because my veins are really small and they couldn't feel anything on this arm. So I was supposed to have made $55 in donations already this month, and today's the 8th. But since I only went in once because they told me that I only had this arm to sell from, I've only made 25. And then when I went in on, Tuesday, I think, yeah, they rechecked this arm and found a perfectly good vein, so I could have sold, and all in all, it's their fault. The problem with relying on plasma money in order to sustain yourself is that it's not a real job. So if they mess up, like they did for me, they don't have to like give me any money to make up for the fact that like it's their fault and now I can't use my arm for that, because it's a donation. Like, you don't have to do it, and they're not guaranteeing that you can. I have no food. The diet's going well.